if you're curious about any of the people that you're meeting here today, or want to see what other people are who are farmer advocates who haven't been here, you could come to the website. Like you could see here, I'm trying to find one that you've met already. So like for Matt, for instance, you can see he's from Allen County. We have some videos on there that, it's like 3 and 5 minute videos, just summarizes pictures of Matt's farm, him talking about his farming philosophy. We also have other things that Matt's done, like Matt's wrote an article, so we've put it on here. So if you yourself are looking for someone, you could find what county the person is in, or you can watch the videos to see the kinds of things that they're doing on their farm, to see if it's somebody that is doing something similar to you. So that's the website, and this is also the website, like I said, that's on the front of the little notebook that I gave you. It's kind of squished together. You need glasses to see it. But that's where you'll also go to learn more about the Haney soil test. So once Mitchell's done talking about it today, we'll put the video up there. So you can't go there right now, but I'll say that by like mid-January, we'll have all that information on there that you'll need to really take advantage of those soil tests. Any questions before we move on to our next session? Okay, so next I'd like to introduce Pete Dinius and Jeff Dooling, 2 more of our wonderful farmer advocates for conservation, and they're going to come up and just give a little bit of like their cover crop journey. So here's Pete. Thanks, Pete.
So my cover crop journey started with a free cover crop. In April of 2010, we purchased what I call an investment property. It had two old hog coops. So they were 60 foot by 250 foot long. We tore one of them down. But anyways, that fall, we were combining corn on that, and we noticed a lot of grass. And we thought, we made that as a note for that field. And we knew that in the spring that's one thing we're going to have to combat. But here it turned out the previous farmer had never told his airplane pilot that he lost that ground. So that was our first cover crop experience, was free. So we ended up tiling that field that spring, so we got it leveled up again and we planted it. So that was our first experience with cover crops. We had been no-tilling, and that spring when we discovered it was a cover crop, we had a tile plow in. And everybody knows how big those chunks come up with the tile plow and how deep you can reach down. And when we can reach down in that trench to our shoulder and not touch the bottom of the roots, that's what convinced us that what tillage practice or what tillage tool can go that deep. So then that's when we sought out a seeder and we started to plant cover crops, and we've been doing it ever since. Wheat's a fun crop to plant a cover crop after because you can capture the diversity and kind of fine tune that. So, I mean, you learn something new. Cover crops provide us an opportunity to window farm 365 days a year. And it's fun getting out and seeing Mother Nature and working with Mother Nature on a different level than just 6 months out of the year. I mean, when we pay our county, our real estate taxes, why are we just paying taxes for something that we use 6 months of the year? Let's use it all 12 months. So that's what's really pushed us onto the cover crops in our operation. So, I mean, that's kind of our story. And Jeff, what's your story?
I don't even know where to start. Just say I'm 56 years old. I've been at this for a long, long time. I remember, I think I was like 3 or 4 years old, riding on the front of a ditch machine, putting clay tile in. Mom and Dad would be out there doing that. So Dad bought his first farm in '64. It's where our operation's at in Putnam County. Dad's been an inventor all his life. So we've been doing this no-till thing for a long time, cover crops. My cover crop thing is a hate-love relationship. My dad stuck me out, I don't know, 10, 12 years old. It's before you had auto steer. I was in an Oliver 2255, no air conditioning, with a, international 510 press wheel drill, sowing beans and rye above my head. I actually got up on the hood. I got lost out in the field, looking around. I'm thinking, what in the heck am I doing out here? So yeah, it was a lot of hate. And then us boys took over, Dad. So, and I should back up. I was in the fertilizer industry for 19 years, so I've been brainwashed, okay? I know what tillage, what my paycheck come from was selling fertilizer. So you gotta realize it took a long time to get this out of my head. So I still use chemicals. I got a sprayer, I got a couple sprayers. I know it's just the way it is. I'm not afraid to use stuff. I gotta get a return on my investment. I have bills to pay. So, I am a big believer in test plots. I do a lot of them. My son hates me for it. He's the one that runs the combine, and if I'm not out in the field yet, he just goes right on past the flags, and they're about my one test plot, but I learn a lot that way. And if you drive by some of my fields today, you're gonna see a lot of strip till done in the field and a lot not done. I'm trying to get away from strip till. I just can't. Every year, the return on investment comes back, versus planting green. So I'm getting there. I got farms that I can plant green. But if you guys know in Northwest Ohio here, we have a lot of heavy clay. And it's been abused for 200 years. I mean, you just drive down these roads and you wonder why it's a bowl out there. You look, the grass lanes are a foot higher. The roads are, and it's the dirt eroded. People, when I go to meetings, I'm at the Soil and Water Federation in Soil and Water, we get around, and they tell me, like last night I was down in Cambridge, it's hills. I don't know how you guys operate down there, but they talk about erosion. But I honestly think in my area, we have the greatest erosion. We're flat. But guess what? All of us got these little furry diggers that put these furries in, and you go out there in a 3-inch rain, stand out there and watch where that water goes. It takes that furry and it just washes a gully right to the ditch. So there's a lot of sediment going. So that's how we got on this gauntlet now, I guess you'd say. Now I'm a big believer. I'm an advocate here, promoting it, but been doing it for about 20 years here on my own with my father yet. I bought my brothers out. Now my son's coming on, and it's fun to have your son involved. He can Google, he uses Google a lot. Regenerative ag, I didn't know what the heck that meant. And here he's telling me about, Dad, we got to get more cattle. We got cattle, but we got them in pens in a barn. He said, no, we got to pasture these things. Yeah, he works full time. Guess what Dad's going to be doing? Yeah, so it'll be interesting. We're going to try it, but we'll see. So, yeah. I had cattle, and I get up, when you get a phone call from the sheriff's office says your cattle's on the highway, I still have nightmares of that yet, so I'm kind of leery about that. But I do have bringing cattle. I have hog. I have a contract hog facility, so I mess with a lot of animal manure. And the problem with these programs are they want you to incorporate it or do tillage. When you're no-till, that's kind of against your mindset. But we are getting more applicators with colders, injection. I use a new tool just this past month. It's called a Cadman. It's made to go in standing corn. I've been experimenting with that for years with a tanker, but compaction issues just phenomenal. But this Cadman, I used it. I'd pull through the field, put my manure on, it'd run the reel right back to me. It's a major operation. It's expensive, but there's things coming. So I'm always looking ahead. I forget about the back. People know me. I don't have a very good memory anymore. So, but I'm always looking for different ideas. I guess I jumped past one. I'm one of the goofy ones out here trying to interseed in corn. And I've had some good success. I'm on my 3rd year. I had to actually spend a lot of money. Had a toolbar made this year by Fennings, where I went into V4, V5 corn, put on my cover crop, and I put on my nitrogen at the same time. It was a very good success this year. Last 3 years it's been a success. Chemicals, everybody asks you about chemicals. Yeah, there's you gotta have to worry about that. You have to look at your chemical program, but finding out with soil health, there's some things I can eliminate. I can get away from some of these chemicals. So, but then with that toolbar, when you spend that kind of money, you're thinking, I'm not just gonna use this to interseed. So that's, if you go by some of my fields, you'll see I have strips out there. I used the same rig and I went out and made just strips, cleaned the fodder out, blew my cereal rye down in between the rows. It should have been a success, but we were so dry, a lot of my cover crop is still laying there yet. So we'll see how that goes next spring, but I have faith. God, I don't know, I could keep rambling here, so. Cover crops. I've used everything and anything. Like I said, Dad was using cereal rye back in the 80s already, and we were messing with that. I hated it, but now I wouldn't do a lot of this crazy stuff if I didn't have GPS. I mean, I feel sorry for the guys that don't. It's, Matt, I keep telling you, you need it. It'd make you feel better when you go out there, but it makes things a lot easier. But red clover, we use a lot of red clover in our area. If you come up in Putnam County here, we have actually got my cousin's clean red clover, so it's an excellent product. I like it. We harvest the red clover for cattle, feed it, and then we'll strip till it and put corn into it. But when it came to the interseeding, it had to change my mindset. I can't use, cereal rye will die. If you put it in a corn crop, it'll rot. It won't go dormant. Where annual rye, okay, everybody gets scared, and 30 years ago we couldn't kill annual rye. That's all you heard. It can be killed. You gotta use your head. But I use annual rye, about 10 pounds. I use rape, and I use some radish. After harvest, it just explodes. It looks beautiful. I like that idea. I will, I like to go around some of my fields yet with the cereal rye just for compaction issues on the ends, or if we got too aggressive with the grain cart. But I was just like anybody else in our area. After harvest, you always had to work the ends because you thought you had compaction issues there. Found out you start using cover crops and the cereal rye and all that. I didn't have water sitting on them ends. So that was a big aha moment there. But, the Haney test, all this stuff, I don't understand them yet. So my big my big health test is I'm a rain gauge nut. I have like 47 fields I go across, and between me and my uncles and some custom farming. So I have 17 rain gauges in 4 counties that I go check. So guess what me and my wife do? That's our date. We go empty rain gauges. But it gets me out and it sees my fields every time it rains. And it drives me crazy when I drive down the road and I see a water puddle on my field. It just tells me soil health's not there. So I flag that spot and I'll do some investigation. If you walk out to my pickup right now, there's 2 shovels on the back of my pickup. I do a lot of digging. I do a lot of walking. But to tell farmers or people that not done this yet, it's a management thing to be a cover cropper and a no-tiller. You just can't send your son out there with a chisel plow and just tell him to do 300 acres. I manage every field. Every field is a different project. So, yes.
Your cover crops at B4, how's that act with insurance? Do you have that conversation?
I don't tell nobody. They don't need to know everything, so. Yeah.
And Mitch was saying that they put it out early, and he and Brian are having a conversation about crop insurance now, but that I just was curious.
There's been for us with some of these things on the interseeding. We've been doing it small enough scale and stuff that we haven't worried about it that much. On the relay cropping, we went through the program here now where we actually got relay cropping as a crop insurance approved program for at least for our area in the state of Iowa. We had a local nonprofit research organization, one of our RCNDs, that helped ourselves and a couple of farmer network did multiple years of research and stuff on it to be able to get it approved, and now we can ensure both the rye and the soybeans in our program. So I think with some of this, we're going to have to continue to figure out how do we work with RMA, get these programs to be approved, and but it is going to take some time and some research to be able to do it. And yeah, for right now, just don't ask, don't tell kind of thing. But over time, we do need to make sure that we are abiding by the rules correctly and working through the program. If you are doing something that isn't necessarily one of the approved practices, there is a path towards not being disqualified. You got to get like 2 letters of support from 2 local local CCAs, and there's a path towards being able to get something approved that's not necessarily one of the BMPs. But there's a process to that, and I don't know exactly how it'll work for you guys versus how it's worked for us in Iowa.
What do you think, boss?
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff and Pete. Okay, we're going to have our last table discussion for the day. Might continue discussions after this meeting in the future, but for our next table discussion, we're just asking you to share what steps you have taken to build your soil health, or maybe what do you want to do to improve your soil health. So if you're just at the beginning of your soil health journey, talk about what you're thinking of doing, and then just thinking about like what would you like to do that's more in line with regenerative agriculture. That's the farmers, and then the resource professional, your questions are up here too. So we'll do that for 20 minutes.